Hi, I'm Scott Giles, and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypnocoaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you'd like to know more about my professional work, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Today, I want to talk about who your heroes or heroines are. And from this time forward in this video, I will use the generic term heroes to refer to all genders, as it gets very clumsy if I try to make some sort of gender-related distinction here. The reason for this topic is that I've noticed it's fascinating to compare who our childhood heroes were to the people we admire as adults. So work with me on this, and I think you'll find it an interesting mental exercise. First, a distinction. There are people we call heroes because they do some act of great bravery, sometimes a single act. They run into a burning building to save someone or something of that sort. And then there are people who are heroic for a larger slice of their lives. They're people like first responders, helping professionals, and so on. And I don't want to take anything away from either of these sorts of people. But what I'm referring to, heroes, are people we admire, look up to, and so on. Now, while there's no precise definition of what makes a person a hero, the basic idea is that it's someone you find motivating and inspirational. There actually has been some research on this topic, a study entitled Heroism, a conceptual analysis and differentiation between heroic action and altruism, was published in the General Review of Psychiatry in 2011 by Franco Blau and Zombardo. The finding of this research is that heroism involves acting voluntarily in the service of others with no expectation of reward or gain or compensation, despite the fact that there was risk. Now, as a boy, my heroes were figures I encountered through reading novels and comic books. I guess what they call graphic novels now, were my special sources of inspiration. A lot of people found that they were inspired by the superheroes they encountered in these books. These were all ordinary people who nonetheless had some extraordinary power. Superman probably was the most iconic of these figures, created by writers Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster in 1938. Now, both of these writers were of Jewish ancestry, as were the creators of a number of superhero figures in graphic novels and so on. And it's been speculated that the long-held Jewish belief that there would come a Messiah who could rescue people from their problems may have been the inspiration for those figures. Now, I found my superheroes in comic books, but these days I suspect the vehicle for this sort of artistic expression is more the superhero Marvel movies and so on that are almost everywhere these days. Now, what I noticed as I thought about my childhood heroes, was that they were all larger than life. They were geniuses like Tom Swift Jr., the protagonist of a series of 33 science fiction adventure books for kids. They had superpowers like Superman or the Flash. They were wealthy like Bruce Wayne, who was also Batman. They had advantages I did not have. As a kid from a poor family where there were some issues that might have sabotaged me, it was comforting to believe that somehow some special power might suddenly manifest because I got bitten by a radioactive spider or something, like Spider-Man, that would allow me to have a much better deal. But childhood desires are not realities. I have no superpowers. I did not grow up wealthy. As I got older, I realized that my success was in my own hands, but that would be okay. That's why when I think about who my adult heroes are, or the people I really admire now, they're very, very different. The people who are my adult heroes are spiritual leaders like the late Thich Nhat Hanh, the high-performing yet compassionate billionaire philanthropist Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway, who lives in a modest home and gives most of his money away to charity. Innovators like Steve Jobs of Apple Corporation, who started out building stuff in his garage and would go on to create a technological powerhouse. What unites this collection of people is that they do not have superpowers. They often did not have the huge advantages that others may have had. They didn't come from wealth on the whole. They earned their position in life, doing well by doing the good. And I want you to note that phrase. They did well by doing the good. Once I noticed that, I realized that for me, my choice of heroes were people of accomplishment, not people of advantage. They are inspirational as they're the sort of people I would like to be, someone who does well, that is, has a nice life, by doing the good, not living solely for selfish ends, advocating for high culture, and so on. The other characteristic I note about such people is that they all followed their own code of behavior, even if it didn't match mainstream expectations. Steve Jobs dropped out of college to pursue his dream when everyone would have told him to stay in. I also find heroes in what I jokingly refer to as the community of saints. Now, in classic Christian theology, the community of saints refers to people who distinguish themselves spiritually in some way. I like that, but my definition is far more broad. I take inspiration from the biographies of people who have lived lives that have been outstanding or remarkable in some way. They're not always shining role models. For example, I enjoy reading about problematic people like Rasputin, but they are always people who decided on their own path and followed their own inner flame of inspiration wherever that may have led them. And they didn't always end well. Rasputin certainly did not, but they always meant well. They were self-actualizing. That is, they made decisions about the sort of person they wanted to be because they believed that was the best way to be. And they tried to become that sort of person. This inspires me too, and shows me something about myself that I might not otherwise notice. To my deep mind, it is important to be self-actualizing, to decide what sort of person to become, and then seek to become it. My deep mind tells me that the goal is to do well by doing the good, and that's become the lure that helps me through life. Now, your results when you do this exercise yourself will no doubt be different from my own, but I suspect you will find the exercise of value. Who were your childhood heroes? Who are your adult heroes? And what distinguishes them from each other? Because that difference will point you to what you've come to value as an adult at your core. I'd like to close with a quotation from the ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, once emperor of Rome, who rose from poverty to the most powerful person in the Roman Empire. He wrote, "Take a good hard look at people's ruling principles, especially of the wise, what they run away from and what they seek out." To this I add that the reason to do this is that it may disclose what you believe you should avoid and what you believe you should seek out. And that can be clarifying and help you find your path through the expectations and responsibilities you might have or might be projected onto you. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject, and I'd like to invite you to join me. It does help me if you will tell other people about my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. If I can be of help to you personally, reach out through my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, my Patreon channel, or email directly, and my website, of course. Stay well and stay safe.